everyone, and welcome to Club 3, episode 36 of Rolling in the Isles, an FM20 British Isles Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So since we were last together for the last episode where we played Liverpool and got an amazing 0-0 draw, as amazing as we were in that game, we were fairly dreadful in the following game, unfortunately, against another really tough opposition that we weren't supposed to win against, absolutely, so that's fine in itself. But we just didn't play very well at all. We went down at 20 minutes to a goal against Tottenham, and after that point they absolutely dominated the game. We never really had any opportunities, and they completely stifled the game. Got a couple of goals in the second half, and yeah, we were just never at the races on that one. But importantly, we bounced back, and Sheffield United, who have been doing very well this season so far, they've been in sort of that sort of 7th, 8th sort of position alongside ourselves. We went to play them in our home game against Sheffield United and beat them 3-0 very comfortably. You can see that it took us a while to get going, but Adam Ida got a couple of goals, and he's been a little bit quiet for a while, so it was good to get him on the score sheet. And we picked up a very, very positive win. Couple of then sort of iffy results, sort of. Watford and Norwich are both sitting in the lower part of the league, right down in the 17th, 18th. So you'd imagine that we'd have got a couple of decent wins from that. And we did beat Norwich 1-0, but it wasn't a good performance. And then we got held to by Watford. Now, what we did to Liverpool, Watford did to us. They were so solid, and we couldn't find a way to break them down, and they countered occasionally to sort of really give us a few heart palpitation moments. But in the end, we managed to get a 0-0 draw against them and a 1-0 win against Norwich, which in the big scheme of things is not too bad at all. And what it's left us with is a Premier League that has us in 7th position after 20 games. Everyone's played their 20th game, and we currently sit in 7th position. A little bit of a gap between us and United in 6th now, that we do have to be a little bit careful that we don't lose too much ground if we want to try and sort of keep on the coattails of these bigger sides. But sitting in 7th place, you can see that there's a lot of teams just directly behind us that could take us as well. So we've got to continue to play well to sustain this sort of position. At this point, I would suggest that anywhere in this middle ground of the Premier League, if we finish in, then I've got to be happy with that, having had such a good start. And we've got another really bad run of games, you remember, in the second half, where we basically play most of the top 6. If we go back to the schedule and look down between not October, what am I talking about, is the end of February and through to April. Look, in a row, we played Tottenham, Liverpool, Leicester, Arsenal, United, Chelsea, all in a row. Now, a couple of those might move for European competition issues, but it's not a good run, and so we've got to get the points before then. So coming up in this next month, today we've got a complete change of pace because we go into the FA Cup against, unfortunately, top of the Premier League Arsenal, so we couldn't have got a worse draw. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But this month in the Premier League, we've got Palace, Wolves, Man City, Watford and Huddersfield. And I think there's some points that we can win in there, certainly. I mean, there's some tough games as well. But just in preparation for this really big run of games that's going to be so hard, we've got to find a way to get some points in January. So, yeah, look out for that. So, as I say, today we've got Arsenal in the FA Cup, so we'll be looking closely at them in a second. And then following that, we're going to come back next episode for the Everton game in early February. That'll give me a chance to play through the January fixtures and also through the January transfer window, and then come back and update you on that in at the beginning of February when we play Everton. There are possibly 1 or 2 bits of movement. We've got some issues in the sense that because of the finances of the club, which is a bit of a gamble that I made over last summer, they will sort themselves out this coming summer. But we only get 40% of anything that we bring in at the moment, and we are potentially having to sell a player, and that player is Eric Scott. Eric Scott, our right-sided midfield option behind Knoll, who's our star, basically, on the right side, hasn't set the world alight at all, has really struggled for form, is now kicking up a bit of a fuss about it, and we've got a few issues with him. So we are potentially looking to move him on now. We've got an £11 million bid from Schalke, so we are in negotiations with that at the moment. If he goes, that will give us a few £1 million to be able to spend in the transfer market. I haven't looked totally as to what's available. There's not a lot available, so there could be a bit of a shift around there. So that's something to think about. And the other thing is that I'm potentially looking at a couple of guys that are ending their contracts in the summer. So we're in early January, so by the summer there's a couple of contractless players that I can hopefully bring in for free, but we'll talk about that next episode when we round up the transfer window for January. So that's for next episode. For this episode, we've got this Arsenal game against Arsenal in the FA Cup. They sit first in the Premier League, we're 7th, so you can see that we're in for a real tricky game. And what I've decided is that because I want to put all of my eggs in the Premier League basket, actually, I'm not really that concerned about what happens in the FA Cup. Even if the board would like me to qualify for a couple of rounds, we're being put against Arsenal. There's probably not a lot we can do about it. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to throw a tactical surprise on them, hopefully, and we're going to gegenpress them from the very beginning of the game. We're going to go in our attacking formation at home. Yes, against the league leaders. I don't know what side they're going to put out just yet, so it could be a slightly weakened side. Hopefully it will be, but we'll see. But we're going to give it a go. We've got nothing to lose. In the Premier League, we need every point that we can get, so we go a little bit defensive, or we try and control the possession, etc. In the FA Cup, it's a one-off game. I don't mind if we get knocked out, because it gives us a focus on the league, which is more what we're here for, really. And so we might as well have a good go at them. So we are going to go in the gegenpress. Everybody's fit and healthy other than Matheson as our right-sided option, but Boggle's come in and he's playing pretty well now, so he's settled into the side, so he'll play today. And then Eric Scott has picked up an injury as well, but he's under some transfer rumours as well. So he's out of the side, but that means that McCowan can come onto the bench. So we got plenty of cover in those kinds of areas, so I'm not worried about any of that. So it means that today's team for the FA Cup tie against Arsenal is Bazunu in goal, Bogle at right back, Target at left back, Story and Harwood-Bellis in central defence, with Joku, Vera and Martinez in central midfield, Null on the right, Loku-Doku on the left and Ida up top, with a bench of Burns, Cooper, Ivan, Silas, McCowan, Gouvet and Monterese. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So we're simply asking the players today to go out there and give the fans their money's worth. Go and give a performance that they're expecting of us. Ultimately, as I've said to you, if we don't win, then that's not the end of the world. But if we can win, if we can put on a good show, then that's absolutely incredible for our season and the momentum moving forward. And we are at home and we are sitting fairly high up in the Premier League. So it is about time that we start to believe in our own abilities a little bit, whilst understanding that the last time we played someone like Tottenham, they absolutely wiped us off the pitch. So it happens. We're in that middle ground at the moment where we're beginning to bite at the heels of some of the bigger guys, but on occasions we can still be done in by them. But we're looking pretty good in possession up until that point, and it was a really wasteful ball out to the right-hand side. But fortunately, Martinez steps in and puts a foot on the ball and takes it away from Arsenal and drives into the penalty box. And for a moment there, it looked like it had all opened up for him, but it was a good defensive block in the end, and it goes out for a corner kick, which Martinez will take, and Knoll under the ball with a header, and he puts it over the top of the bar. But we're putting the pressure on in the first 10-15 minutes of the game. We're looking as though we are fairly decent for our home performance at the moment. 63% possession, 8 shots at goal, only a couple for Arsenal. So we are well and truly in this game at this point. And can we keep that pressure up? And we build again from the back, nicely out to the wide right-hand side onto Knoll, who gets a chance to run past his defender, takes that opportunity and then blasts the ball wide, really wide. And it was such a disappointing end to a really great decisive run from him off that wide right-hand side. He is such a good player. He is developing all the time. We've got an absolute gem on our hands. We just need to find a way to harness that and get him that last bit of productivity in and around the box, be it that last bit ball through or that shot on goal. But that takes us through to half time. A little bit of a quiet first half here and there, couple of attempts for us, but you can see in terms of how we've dominated the match, 62% possession for the first half. It's very good against the top of the table side. and 11 shots on goal, 4 on target, which is very good also. You can see that their shot on target ratio is very high. They've had 4 out of 5 shots, so they're still a real big threat. So what we're going to do at half time, well, we are going to assertively go in and say, let's see what we want to do here. Let's tell them they've been unlucky so far, and try and see that they've got opportunities here to take something from this game if they can convert a couple of chances. So yeah, let's put them out and see how that does for us in the first half of this second half. And it's Arsenal on the attack, but fortunately the gap opened up in the central defence, but the header went straight at Bazunu and he plucks it out the air and takes it nicely. And there was a little bit of a problem there, wasn't there, for a minute. But now we get a good attacking run from the right fullback into Knoll, and gets a chance again to go back out to Bogle, and the cross comes in, and it's Vera with the header on that far post into the near post with the header, and we go 1-up after 53 minutes. Such a good move down that right hand side. Bogle with the run, holds up the play, goes into Knoll, goes for the 1-2, gets it back, first time cross, and a long distance looping header from Vera right into that top corner. And we take a really good, well-deserved lead, I would suggest, in this FA Cup tie. For 50-odd minutes, we've been the better side, definitely. You can see they're coming into the game in terms of chances created, but not in terms of possession. So if we can keep the ball from them, hopefully we can find a way to achieve something in this game. And now we've got a lead to hold on to. So what would you do? Would you immediately go defensive? I'm not going to do that just at the moment. I'm going to go into our balanced play, our controlled possession, and try and keep the ball from them and frustrate them through that mechanism. But they have a chance to counter-attack before we've changed to that. And we'll see whether we can hold them out at this point and reset ourselves and find a way to hold on to that ball, hopefully. But they're building nicely from the back, straight through the centre from Rice there. And their striker goes through one challenge. And what a pile driver that was from Amaro, right into that far corner from where he was. And before we've even had a chance to properly reset, Arsenal counter on us and they go and get the equalising goal. So we're gonna have to really focus our attention for the last half hour on what we now do about this, because we don't want the momentum shift in the game too much. So once this is over, we're going to pause the game and we're going to go into our tactics page, and we've just shifted into this controlled possession. I am going to leave it there for a little while just to see if we can hold on to the ball a bit and move it about. But we've got to see where the weak links lie. And surprisingly today, it's Knoll on that right-hand side. An absolute star for us. If we go and have a look at his ratings, you can see they're all improving in key areas. And at 19, he's an absolute star already. But today, he's not feeling it. So we're going to bring him out and we're going to put McCowan down that right-hand side, who by a million miles is not as good a player, but has got a little bit of experience on Knoll, and hopefully he can come in and help us do something. And again, our striking options are something that we're going to have to work on in the summer, because they're not working particularly well. And Ida is quiet again. I think Loku Doku is our top goal scorer this season with 6 goals. So you can see that we've got an issue there. So Monterese will come on, and he's got 1 or 2 goals recently. I think he's just got the 1 maybe, but it's his first goal for the club. So hopefully that's beginning to build some momentum for the second half of the season for him. So he'll come in, and we're not going to make a third change just yet. We're going to make those 2 changes and go and see how we get on for the next couple of minutes in the game. And it's Arsenal on the attack again, but we can hold our shape, hopefully. No, there's that space down that far side that opened up for the Arsenal attack really quite significantly, and a good block on the shot meant that it goes out for a corner kick in the end. But we are living on the edge of our seats a little bit here. A half clearance from Harwood Bellis, and it doesn't go far enough, and Arsenal pick up that loose ball and they keep the pressure on us. We're going to have to find a way to get out of this press. I think we are going to go defensive at this point, and we're going to soak up some pressure and try and counter-attack on them for the last little bit if we can possibly do it. We'll then make another substitution just to end to change up our personnel a little bit. And we're going to take Martinez off, and we're going to put Silas into that role, because we're now playing that more defensive unit. He plays that central midfield role because we've dropped Martinez into the central midfield rather than the attacking midfield. So that makes sense for us to do. And we're going to see if we can soak up this pressure, get a foot in somewhere. And we almost did it there. And Arsenal get another attempt at goal, but the goalkeeper does well. But we've got to find a way to win that ball back and use it well when we've got it. Another opportunity for Arsenal. All the pressure on us. But there's the chance for McCowan to step in and nick the ball, and he does so very well. Can we use the ball well now that we've got it, though? Joku up to Silas. Monterese drops deep and puts it back into Joku. And we're keeping the ball very nicely up until that point where it just a sprayed ball far left. It doesn't go well for us. We're very fortunate to win it back, but we're crowded out in midfield. And again, Arsenal counter-attack, but a wild shot from them doesn't even challenge the goalkeeper at all. And you can see that we're struggling to get out. And we could potentially put the press on them, but I think they'd pass around it at this point. I think we've got to remain steadfast in our defensive duties and try and get, nick the ball and quickly counter-attack on them. It feels like the best way to do it, even if I'm not sure we're going to be able to. But there's the chance. We win it in midfield. Lokudoku on the ball. It gets sprayed wide right to McCowan. A bit of space for him. Can he put the cross in? There was the chance there. He didn't take it straight away, but he's now taken it. And Joku with the shot, and it goes inches wide on that left-hand side. And we're quite unlucky with that attempt. But we are still in this game just about. 93rd minute out of 94. Arsenal with one last attempt. Can we block it? We do block it. It goes out again for a throw-in. So we're ticking down the time here. We've got an opportunity just to close this game out and prove that we can compete with the likes of the top of the Premier League. Bazunu comes out and claims the ball very nicely. Very happy with his performance today. He's done a lot of good things very, very well. Can we have one last attempt here? Seconds are ticking. Are we going to go long? We're not. We're trying to play through and the time runs out. And a 1-1 draw against Arsenal in the FA Cup. Not too bad. An additional game in our schedule, absolutely. But that's okay. That will give us a bit of extra cash as well through playing twice against them. And we're going to say that they were unlucky tonight. And just lift their confidence a little bit, because I think we were. I think we did okay. For the first hour, I think we were really competing. The last half hour, we were really, really penned back. But defensively, which is what we've built this season on so far, I think we did really very, very well. If we just have a look at the team stats over here, you can see that our big problem this season has been scoring goals, not conceding them. We've got the third best record in conceding goals in the Premier League, which is amazing. But we're also 15th in terms of scoring goals, and that's where we have to improve. So we'll be looking to do that in the summer specifically, about how we improve this strike force. But that's for another episode. Today, what can I tell you? We tried. We did a really good job, I thought, for a lot of the game against Arsenal, having a go at them and really challenging them to be on their best. And eventually they found an answer and came back into the game. And now we've got that replay away from home. It's going to be even harder to get the result, but it does help us a little bit financially, which is good. And it just boosts the confidence again that we can compete. So I'm not too disappointed with how it sits so far. So join me for the next episode. The next episode will still come back for early February. I'll update you on what happened in the replay of the FA Cup. I'll update you on the transfer window as well as that comes to a close. And then we'll play a game against Everton in the Premier League, who currently sit down as 16th. Good opportunity for us to get some points there, maybe. We'll see where we are at that point. But anyway, thanks for joining me today. It's a really important time in this season. We've got to keep the momentum going, but there's a couple of unhappy players and a little bit of a shift around that's going to happen in the January transfer window, I think. But it's, yeah, we'll see how we can maintain this momentum as much as we can. Join me for the next episode to find out what's going on. Till then, though, thanks for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click that like button if you haven't. Help me get seen by lots of other people. Till next time, though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.